I'm Hadia Mubarak. I'm a research fellow for the 2018 academic year in the Institute for the Humanities at New York University, Abu Dhabi. And I'm also an assistant professor of religious studies at Guildford College and in Greensboro, North Carolina. My research project is really an outgrowth of questions I've been asking myself during my both doctoral training as well as my graduate research when I was first doing my MA at Georgetown University. I had a great academic mentor, Barbara Stowasser, who first introduced me to the discipline of tafsir and the academic study of tafsir, which is basically, tafsir is a genre of Quranic commentaries that began in the second Islamic century, so roughly around the 8th century in the Common Era. And it's a very rigorous academic discipline, if you will, within the Islamic tradition, and it has grown. And currently, there's a lot of modern scholarship that's emerging on tafsir and really trying to understand what this genre is, what are its methods, how does it interact with broader issues that are occurring in that respective society in which an exegete, an author of one of these commentaries is writing. During my time here at NYU Abu Dhabi, my research plans in specific are to expand my dissertation into this monograph and hopefully to finish this by the first semester if possible. In addition, I am also producing 2 journal articles that are related to my research on 2 different issues that are very pertinent to the field of both tafsir studies and women and gender studies. I guess I should say maybe women and gender in the Qur'an. And these are actually 2 distinct subfields within Islamic studies. And in a sense, my project attempts to bring them together and have them speak to one another, if you will, because most of the scholarship on gender in the Qur'an tends to work in isolation of tafsir, which is this exegetical genre. It's this academic genre that attempts to produce, it tends to be volumes long. One commentary on the Qur'an is oftentimes. What I'm trying to do is take the methods and the findings of tafsir studies and apply them to the question of gender in the Qur'an, and engaging this question, this broader question of what is the impact of modernity on modern exegetes, interpretive and hermeneutical approaches specifically to gender. One of the primary challenges, which is also, I think, an asset, I should say, to the project, is its multidisciplinary approach. So I am very much engaging with the modern history of the Middle East, for example. And so I'm taking certain, if you will, theories as well as certain findings and really trying to understand the interaction between so just to give you an example, I'm looking at like speeches given by colonialists in Egypt, in Tunisia, at that given time in history on women in Islam. I'm looking at newspaper articles, for example, getting a sense of some of the feminist movements and what were their primary concerns, what were their discourses, where do they stand in this spectrum of voices on the question of women in Islam. And the primary, I guess I should say, the broader framework that really, I guess I should say, drives this sort of multidisciplinary approach is recognizing, and again, we can only do this by, really building this historical backdrop, is recognizing the theoretical significance of gender issues in the early 20th century North Africa. So gender issues is not just about gender, and it's really carries a broader ideological significance at that juncture. In terms of, for some of the colonialists, women, or the issue of women, became sort of a litmus test for Islam and its capacity to deal with modern issues and modern challenges. And so these exegetes are very much aware of that, and they are really engaging with this broader debate, but at the same time they're also responding to to different voices, I should say, to different discourses that exist at that time. Considering that my research project deals with engaged gender in the Qur'an and gender in tafsir studies in specific, I am very much in touch and with other scholars who work on gender studies in general, but also gender in the Middle East. Professor Nalida, and there are others, although she might not work on gender, but Professor Swetha. And I must say I've also actually been asked to speak at a few colleagues' classrooms. So far I've spoken on, because my field is Quranic studies, irrespective of the different topics in Quranic studies. So I did a talk on really a comparative approach of Joseph in the Old Testament and in the Qur'an. And I'm also will be doing another talk on for another colleague here, John O'Brien, in his class, and we're still kind of refining the topic for that one. But most likely it will be actually looking at another part of my research, which is gender in the Qur'an, and then the movements of Islamic feminism, and the question of domestic violence. The fellowship has been incredibly instrumental in helping me with my research. First of all, by giving me the physical and mental space to actually do the work. In the US, I'm teaching a 3-to-3 load, and so it's very difficult to find the time to contribute. And one of the things I want to say is I feel that this research is an important conversation in the field, and it is the right time to put it out there. And so I'm really happy for this opportunity. I'm very, I'm very honored to be part of this institute. Two other really critical ways that the fellowship has helped is through the workshop. This is a really unique opportunity to engage with scholars in my field, to be able to bring them to New York, Abu Dhabi, and have a very focused seminar really on this topic of gender and tafsir studies is a very unique opportunity that the fellowship provides, and it will be, I'm sure it will prove to be a tremendous benefit to my research overall. And the second really important asset has been the library's just resources, manuscripts. So I have found many, I should say most, but not all of the classical tafsir manuscripts that I'm looking at from the from the 9th to 14th centuries, obviously in the Gregorian calendar. And then in terms of just secondary literature in my field, it's been great. Secondary literature on Quranic studies, and what's not available at NYU Abu Dhabi, I've been able to easily retrieve from NYU in New York in the US, and so it's really been an excellent opportunity. In fact, I found that the resources here in my field are far greater and better than what was available to me in North Carolina. So without question, this has been a wonderful asset. So the broader implications of what I'm doing is really to engage with two different subdisciplines in my field, which is tafsir studies and women and gender in the Qur'an, that field. This has been a really growing field, and there has been a lot of literature dealing with women in the Qur'an and very different, significant questions of gender in the Qur'an, many of which my project is dealing with. I'm dealing with the question of seclusion, the question of female witnesses, with marital discipline, with polygyny, and men's degree over women. So there is a verse that says, men have a degree over women. So it's basically, looking at, I guess I should say, male-female hierarchy. So my project is dealing with all of these various questions under the umbrella of gender in the Qur'an.